Hello and welcome to our Startup with Ferris. Thank you so much. We appreciate you tuning in. So, what's new in the world of entrepreneurship? A few days ago, I had lunch with a friend. He was a customer of ours for several years, and we stayed connected professionally. He's really good at what he does, especially in the area of business operations. He has a robust understanding of systems and processes, and he's also great with people. Not a very common combination. So typically he comes into a messed up company facing all sorts of issues in production, in employee retention, maybe in profit margins, and within months, not years, he'll turn the operations around across every business metric you can think of. He's now consulting short term, and at the same time, he's evaluating if he wants to go back to full time employment or build up his consulting practice. He knew that I had a couple of similar pivots in my career, and he wanted to get some advice on his before he takes his next big move. Now, I do meet with quite a lot of people and provide professional and even personal guidance. And I can tell you that one thing that really stood out in this case was that he was very prepared and he was very thoughtful. He understood that the right time to seek out an advisor was after having done a lot of thinking and research on his own. He still couldn't answer all of his own questions, but his due diligence before the meeting generated a more focused and a more productive exchange during the meeting. Which brings me to our series here on how to leverage advisors to expedite your career and business growth. In the last three episodes, we've covered who's an advisor and their role in helping you learn, the stakes of not learning from advisors, the various types of advisors that you can potentially um, use their help for, strategic versus tactical, hands-off versus hands-on. And we also talked about where to find advisors. I covered 12 hotspots and a bonus one on how to connect with advisors. And we'll include links to these all these episodes in the description below. But today we're covering when to speak with advisors and when not to speak with them, and how to get the most out of a meeting with a consultant, with an advisor, with a mentor. And we'll give you some tips before the meeting, how to really prepare for that meeting, how to what to do during the meeting, and what to do after the meeting. And we'll conclude with the seven um, Startup with Ferris principles, what we call here our black belt principles around working with advisors and about business growth in general. So let me make sure we have all good on the technology and see if we have any questions from our community. Just one second. Is your friend going back to a regular job or getting into his business more? So he is in this place where he finished his last full-time job and he is doing some consulting for short term. This is his first time doing consulting. So he's getting a sort of firsthand impression and feel and actual practice in consulting. He hasn't done that before. He's done full-time. He was an employee, an executive for a long time. So this is new to him. And he's in this phase of, okay, I've done full-time work. I've been an employee and an executive for a long time. Now I want to do something on my own. I have this consulting gig. I'm liking many aspects of it, but he wasn't really thinking of doing this consulting for the long term. So he's in this phase of evaluating, do I go back to full-time employment with obviously a good salary that benefits, as I always say, the 401k, the PTO, the whole package. Do I do that? Or since I'm liking this consulting, this one gig I'm doing for the short term, should I do this and grow it and make it my next mountain to climb, right? So this is where he's at, and I think this is common to a lot of entrepreneurs, where you could be working today in corporate in a company. You could be maybe you've just been hit with a layoff, and you're thinking, do I go back and go full time, or do I do a business on my own? And that's, I think, what I want to highlight today is, if you're about to make a major decision in life or in business, do your own due diligence, do your own research, and then speak with others, speak with advisors. This is a good time. This is a perfect timing, I think, when you have done some research and you go out and ask people for advice and guidance. And we had an amazing conversation, and I'm really excited to see what he'll end up doing. It seems that this consulting business sounds very good to him, and he sees the benefits. And I gave him some tips. But before we go into the details of today's episode, first I want to thank you all for tuning in. Please don't forget to leave us a comment, a question, whether you are watching or listening now live or later. Would love to hear from you. I'd love to know about the successes you're having, small or big, about the struggles you're going through, the challenges, whether in thinking about starting a business, or if you started and you're struggling, you're not sure where to go for guidance. Happy to be of help. Just leave us a comment here, or submit that question in the Google form we have in the description, or direct message me on LinkedIn. Happy to be of help. Now, I want to remind you that we also have these live streams every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, where we typically cover a business topic and then answer the questions that come to us throughout the week. And typically, the questions are about this topic that we're covering today, but feel free to ask any questions that you're going through. We'll make sure we'll address them one way or another. And if you have a very specific question, maybe you want to keep it anonymous, our commitment is that we'll keep it anonymous. We respect confidentiality. We respect privacy. And if it's something you don't want to put out publicly in a comment on YouTube or on LinkedIn, again, direct message me on LinkedIn, or send me an email on our website, startupwithferas.com. Feras spelled as Feras. Great. So now that the housekeeping items are behind us, let's jump right in. All right. So when to talk to advisors. This is the theme for today. When, the timing. When is an interesting word. There's a book by Daniel Pink on this concept of when. I read it a few years ago, and when I was preparing for this episode, it came back to mind. It's a fascinating book, and the book's subtitle is "The Scientific Secrets of Perfect Timing." So Pink says that timing is not an art; it's a science. So our biological clocks, our circadian rhythm, all of that, they have an impact on our lives, basically our effectiveness and performance. So we should pay as much attention to the when as to the what, as to the where, the who, and even the why. And when it comes to the when, the timing of reaching out to advisors, I see two extremes. On one extreme, you see business owners who never seek help, the lone wolf type, or maybe they're just, sorry to say, arrogant, or they think that they can do it all on their own. And then you have those who are maybe just too shy to ask for help. So either arrogant or shy. The issue here is that you're making entrepreneurship 5 times harder for you, because you're not learning, and you're not learning from others who have come before you. And without effective learning, whether it's hard skills, soft skills, or mindset, entrepreneurship really isn't possible. So that's one extreme. People who are just not seeking help, not learning. On the other extreme, some business owners are obsessed with listening to every advisor. They reach out to so many experts. They watch and follow so many fads, and they're just out there busy consuming and consuming and consuming content. Uh, the issue here is that they're also making entrepreneurship 5 times harder for themselves, but for another reason, because they're too reactive. They're going in too many different directions, and they're not really executing. So this reminds me of a quote by Mae Jemison, the former astronaut, who says, "I like to think of ideas as potential energy. They're really wonderful, but nothing will happen. But nothing will happen until we risk putting them into action. So you gotta put ideas into action. And also, sometimes younger folks, they experience this where they spend the first several years of their professional lives trying to ask around what they should do in life and without actually doing much about it. Or I don't want to pick on the young crowd. We love the young crowd in our community, and you have amazing passion and energy and time. So not picking on anyone here, but even those who are maybe mid career or late career, maybe those who are looking for their second mountain, they're still trying to figure out what to do next. I'm not saying you rush to make major life decisions. Uh, I want you to be diligent, but you can't spend your life thinking without doing anything. I remember one of my previous CEOs. He used to always remind us of a quote that I love, a quote about being more action oriented. He used to say, "We have we have to have a bias to action, a bias toward action." So this action oriented mindset will serve us all really well. And it reminds me of a funny story here. An older professor I know, he's very wise, and he's been around the block for many years with a lot of students and people who want to learn and improve. He told a story about a friend who has, a friend of his who was a proud collector of books on learning new languages. But this friend of his was never actually learning them. The professor said that I once he visited him in his house, and the student showed him this vast library of tens of books on learning foreign languages. And then the student asked the professor, which book do you think is the best and the one I should really focus on? And the professor said, my friend, any book, just stick to it. So as an entrepreneur, fight this urge, and you can insert the blank here, this acquisition syndrome. It could be the book acquisition syndrome, it could be the gear acquisition syndrome, it could be the advisor acquisition syndrome, or maybe the YouTube acquisition syndrome. Stop scrolling, go on a YouTube fast for a week. I just did that actually. I got a whole lot done, and I learned a lot. I'm always I tell people to be a sponge, and I think I'm one, and I'm always learning from other educators, from other creators, from other those in business. So I love learning. At times you have to focus. So if you are in this, you have one of those acquisition syndromes. I think education is important. Educate yourself, but then you gotta apply. So make sure you don't fall into this momentum killing routine of hiring the best advice out there, even if it's free advice. And sometimes if you're paying for senior advice, it's expensive. Make sure that you're not doing that and then not implementing any of this advice. So there's a right balance. And what's that right balance between seeking too little support, not asking, not learning, and then seeking too much? Remember this mantra, remember this principle that we use here at Startup with Ferris: learn and do, then seek. So before you tap an advisor, do some research, do some analysis on your end, and then go out and seek the help. And you definitely don't want to go to an advisor and ask them to answer a question for you that you can find that answer easily, or maybe just because you're not feeling as motivated as you could be. So with all that in mind, there are times, very specific times, when it does make a whole lot of sense to speak with an advisor. For example, you've tried it on your own and failed. You're stuck on a problem and you've tried so many different ways to solve it, but it's just not happening. And you've done your due diligence, and then again you're stuck. Or you need a very specialized expert perspective. And then last but not least, You may need the support to make a measured decision, and you really can't pick between maybe two or three choices that you have. So those are specific instances where I think it's a perfect timing to it's perfect timing to go and speak with an advisor. And again, if you've run across other scenarios and you're listening to this, would love to hear from you. Would love to hear from your experience and learn from your experience as well. A good way to help you through that balance of when to speak with an advisor, when to pay for an advisor, when to maybe do things on your own is this concept that it's called just in case versus just in time. If you're in this just in case mindset, you maybe you're getting too caught up in listening to many advisors or watching too many videos. And it's going to lead you to confusion and inaction. Now, just in time is just that. You're seeking help definitely for specific challenges and from a small number of resources. And then you're deciding on one solution and then focusing on implementing that solution. So the advisor that you've matched with is hopefully qualified and doesn't pull their opinions and recommendations out of thin air. Um, Hopefully, again, you've picked the right person, the seasoned advisor, and they've gone through the blood, the sweat and tears uh, behind all the years into their area of specialty, and the gems that they usually share are something for you to take on and absorb and digest and then apply. So you got to follow. I think not every advice that you get, you obviously have to use your own judgment, but do listen to these seasoned individuals. Now, at times, this doesn't work. You speak with someone for whatever reason, and I've hired advisors and I've hired consultants in some of our businesses where just things did not work out. So you can pivot, get input from a different advisor, and then go back to implementing. But the idea here is that I don't want you to get stuck in intake mode. You gotta take that advice, implement, absorb, analyze, implement, and then if it's not working, try something different. So let's pause here and see what we have from the community. How do I know when I've done enough research on my own? And what if I reach the wrong conclusions? Let me answer the second part first. You will make the wrong decisions. You will make wrong decisions. You'll fail. You'll run into challenges. Some are forced by competitors, by the marketplace, by a pandemic. There's some forced things on you, and some are unforced, uh, unforced errors. Things that think if you're playing tennis and you hit the net, I mean that's on you. Maybe there's a lot of pressure from people watching, maybe from the opponent, but some errors are you shouldn't. Those are on you, and I think speaking with advisors and seeking the help of advisors will minimize. I don't think it will eliminate wrong conclusions or wrong decisions, but it will reduce the chances of you making some fatal decisions. So that's in terms of it's just the nature of the beast. As you get better in business, in sales, in marketing, in pitching, in managing people, in hiring, all of these are muscles you have to grow in business. Most of us, when we start our first business, we don't have subject matter expertise in all of these domains that are required to start a business and to grow a business. So we have to learn, and part of learning is making mistakes. And part of making mistakes is that we don't, the good thing is that you should have is that you don't want to repeat the same mistakes, and you learn from those mistakes. So that's about reaching the wrong conclusions. About how do I know when I've done enough research? I mean, I think it correlates to, I think, the significance of the decision. Um, Maybe the if you're about to invest $1,000 in an initiative is one level of research. If it's going to be $10,000, it's one thing, and then if it's $50,000, so I think it's think of it as the complexity of the decision, I think there's a lot of correlation there between the complexity, the investment in time and money, not just money, the investment in resources, the mental capacity, the mental room this decision is going to occupy you for the next 2 3 months. So I think I don't know if I can quantify when enough, when enough is, but I think of it as maybe um, with smaller decisions you need some research, with bigger, more complex, more some decisions with um, some consequential uh, results. Those you need to do spend more time. For example, and I'll do that and then move on to the next section. If you're about to hire someone, you do the vetting process, you check the references, you tell them about your business. And we have, by the way, a live stream on hiring, so you don't make the mistakes I made. I think we have 10 tips there for you. We'll add that description. We'll add the link in the description. So hiring someone requires if you're hiring a contractor for 5 hours, you don't do a whole lot of research. Check on the references, see their work, and hire them. So that's little research. If you're about to hire someone full time, you need to do a whole lot of vetting, a huge, long process of making sure this candidate is a good fit for you and you are a good fit for them. Now, if you are about to get a business partner and there's equity involved, there'll be maybe 50-50. You need to spend, I would say, 10 times the effort that you spend in hiring. So again, the complexity of the decision, to summarize, the resources involved, the short term versus long term aspect of that decision. Those are all factors that should be kept in mind as you are doing your research and as you are seeking advice. Good question. Thank you. All right. And again, if you're just joining us, we are talking today about when to talk to advisors, how to get the best and the most out of the meeting you have with advisors, and how to prepare and for it before the meeting, and what to do during the meeting, and what to do after. And that's what we are getting into right now. So it is no secret that many experts or seasoned entrepreneurs are very hard to get hold of. People are busy. But after all these years, I think if I need something now from someone, especially if they're more senior, or if someone I need their help with, then I'm going to do everything in my capacity to reach them again without being obnoxious, right? So it could mean that I would send a few emails, I would follow up maybe with a couple of calls. If this person is local and I know they attend a certain event, maybe an industry meetup, or maybe a conference, or maybe there is even a social event, I'll find ways, excuses to go and be there and meet this person in person. So, so that just the hustle is if you need something from someone, you got to find a way to connect with them. And you can read about the 6 degree of separation and how we can connect with very important people, and there are only maybe 6 degrees, 6 person, there's 6 person, 6 separations between us and them. And I think in these days, and with social media and everything else, they're probably less than 6. So you can meet a lot of people. You just have to work your network, and then be out there. Now, as you're doing this, as you're doing this outreach and finding people, one thing to keep in mind in business, in life, is that not everyone is nice. A lot of people, most people are nice and professional, but there are some jerks out there, and those who maybe they're show off, or they don't want to talk to you, or they want to give you the cold shoulder, or they don't respond to your messages on purpose. So there are, I hope it's only a small segment of our society, but others who are not responding, they're not aware, they're just too busy. They're not aware of the need that you have, and that's maybe it's very time sensitive. They might not be aware that they're causing you hurt or trouble. So if you feel like someone that whom you've reached out to, maybe they should have responded to your message, but they haven't. I mean, give them the benefit of the doubt. Um, think better of them, and do some follow up and follow up again. It might be just they've had a rough week. They've been traveling. They've been really, really busy. They've had something at home. So don't just sit at home, complain about it. Do some follow up. give people some benefit of the doubt. And at one point, after maybe several follow-ups, if they're not responding, just move on. So if you're struggling with how to start a conversation, if you're struggling with how to do outreach, in last week's live stream, I covered several examples on conversation starters and strategies and tactics for you to connect with advisors. So again, we'll have the link in the description. Check it out when you have a chance. So what do we do ahead of the meeting? So we secured the meeting. We emailed someone, said, yes, I can meet with you. Again, this is not only paid, this applies to both free and paid advice. So before you even schedule a meeting, you got to immerse yourself in research and preparation. This way, when you come to this meeting prepared, it shows that you value the advisor's time and their expertise, and that you are serious about your venture. For example, if you're meeting with an advisor to get input on an idea that you have, so you need to be able to articulate the business idea. You want to be able to articulate the unique value proposition, the UVP. Why are you passionate about it? That's important. That you've conducted some market research, meaning you understand the audience, or you have a good understanding of the audience and their needs and wants and desires and pain points. You also have done some research on pricing and the competitors and maybe how you can differentiate. So that's all market research. And then that you've taken the time, this is all ahead of the meeting, to really you want to demonstrate your knowledge of the industry, and then how your idea fits within it, and then why this venture you have is distinct and has the potential for success. So that's good for you because it will help you when you are pitching in the future, when you start the business and you start to pitch, understanding the market, understanding the pain points, understanding the competitors. Like those are all extra the extra arrows in your quiver. So this is not only helpful for when you meet advisors, it's just helpful for your business in general, because you have to use this knowledge in your business when you start it. So now everything I mentioned, that the UVP and the market research, let's say you're just really, you don't have any experience in any of this, and you just need some guidance on how to do market research and how to develop your own UVP, that is totally okay. So just go, maybe watch a couple of videos on it, read a couple of articles on it, and then go and ask, I need help in doing my market research. I've done this. What do you think? What else do you think I can do more? Here's what I thought as my unique value proposition, my UVP. What do you think? So even if you don't know any of the stuff I'm talking about, it is okay to go and ask about how to go and do it. So you just need to show that you have thought deeply about your venture, about your project and its potential. So by investing time and effort into your preparation, you not only make a strong impression on business advisors and coaches and mentors and potentially investors, but it also increases the likelihood of securing their critical support. If someone comes to me and they're totally not passionate about it and they haven't done any research, like, okay, I'm not going to waste my time. And sometimes, even if it's a paid thing, like you want to, at one point in life, money is not everything. Even if someone is paying you for a service, at one point, like if it's not working out, you just go and tell them, hey, this is not working out, because you want to make sure you see the fruits of your labor, at least for me. So remember that if you do all the above, all that research and coming prepared, these advisors are going to take you more seriously, and they'll invest time and energy, and they'll make introductions. If they believe in you, it's just, I don't know. There's something special about that when I see someone with passion and with preparedness, with thoughtfulness, and they're committing time into it. I wanna see them succeed. I want to be part of that success. Again, this is not to pitch my consulting services. I do this for free for a lot of entrepreneurs. We offer 2 free sessions every week. No charge, no gimmicks, no sales pitches. I just like to help. So again, if you're speaking with a friend who's an advisor, you're speaking with a paid advisor, if they see that preparedness and that thoughtfulness and that energy, they'll be more invested in helping you, and they want to see you succeed. So that was for the pre-meeting. Next, we will talk about what do you want to do, what I want to do during the meeting, and then what do you do post the meeting, and then we'll wrap up with the 7 principles. So let me pause and see what questions we have. Should I share any documents with the advisor before the meeting? Short answer is yes. Don't send them. It happens to me where I was trying to help someone out, and they sent me an email with like 5 attachments. So here's everything we have. Okay, folks. And some of these attachments were slides and PowerPoints and documents and Excel spreadsheet. Like, folks, can you just give me like a summary? Help me where to look at in this massive spreadsheet. So I think it's okay to initially, especially if like this is your first meeting with an advisor, prepare an executive brief. I remember for this business, actually, early on, we're trying to figure out YouTube. We're still trying to figure out YouTube and how to get better at it. It's an ongoing process in my mind. But we hired someone. We paid a handsome hourly fee for a top educator in the space, and we prepared a 3-page document, basically summarizing our journey, where we were, where we are today, what we've learned, and we had a specific list of questions. So we got a whole lot more out of that meeting if I just went and said, "Hey, so and so, what do you think? Oh, yeah, we tried that. Oh, I don't remember." Like, my friend, it's your time, it's their time. So come in prepared. I would say with an executive summary. That would be definitely my recommendation. And again, don't make it too complicated. Don't make it too long. A summary and what you want to get out of this meeting, like what specific area your questions are in, or maybe specific guidance you need in a specific, maybe in sales and marketing and hiring, what have you. Good. So next, about what do we do? What is it that we do during a meeting? And it has to do with the art of presenting information and asking questions. So I think speaking with mentors, with advisors, with teachers, with experts, or just when you're consulting, it's an art that many don't have, unfortunately. The good thing is that you can learn it just like anything else. So I'll give you some examples. I've met and advised hundreds of founders and those who want to be entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs. I think on the average, I speak to 1 to 2 people every week. So sometimes these founders or a friend, they want my opinion on something. So they'll talk to me and maybe they'll take me out to lunch, much appreciated, and get into a whole lot of details. And I'm telling you, I genuinely forget what they're asking for or what the main point is. I mean, I think I used to be maybe more patient. I used to be more, I think I'm still polite, but I used to be more patient and I would listen to them. I don't want to hurt their feelings. And they're all over the place. And I'm not sure where to even start. So these days, if I get into one of those conversations, like 5 minutes into it, I say, "Okay, folks, we have 30 minutes, we have an hour. Let me know." I help, guide them. But it's really on you, the person seeking help, when you go out to speak with a coach or a mentor, to be really prepared and to have the list of questions ready. Now, you wanna you wanna strike a balance between. Like, there's no clear cut in my mind. A lot of the stuff is fluid, but there's a balance between too much information, TMI. I don't know if people still say TMI. I still have to say it these days, but too much information, and then on the other end, no context. And this is not. I'm not making this stuff up. I spoke with someone who reached out recently, and the person said, "Yeah, I want to start my own business. I do consulting today, management consulting. So what do you think?" they had nothing else. They had no other questions actually, and they didn't provide any additional context. And I start probing, asking, and they, oh yeah, I'm thinking, oh maybe this is not a good time for me. It was not a productive call, and it ended up being a 10-minute call instead of the 30 minutes call that I dedicated for this person. So you have to strike a balance. And I think a good rule of thumb is to ask yourself, what essential information would a person need to know to give me advice on this? So keep the amount and type of information you share relative to what's needed, nothing more, nothing less. And do give a priority to the type of information that gives a whole lot more context and highlight the critical aspect of the issue. So that's really important because advisors, mentors, coaches, they've seen a lot. So without the context about your situation, it might be hard for them to give you a more applicable advice. And remember, you know, uh, if I leave you with one thing from this episode, help me help you. It's not the song, but what I mean here is that if you need the help of an advisor, my help or someone else, but you're not willing to do your part, that part of the work that is needed, and then expect me to do that as well, then that's not called helping. It's really just me doing your work. And again, that will not, some people might do that for you, but most people will just, they're too busy, they move on. So if you're, for example, going to meet an advisor to go over your business idea, you don't need a 50-page business plan, this comprehensive document that covers every aspect of the business. I think, as I said earlier, if you create something concise, something that is structured, focusing on in your business plan, let's say you're stuck with coming up with a financial model and you're speaking with a financial advisor, then focus on that. And maybe they can give you some guidance on maybe a course you can take or another person you can speak with. So focus within the business plan. Is it the business idea? Is it the unique benefits of your service or product? Is it the market analysis? Is it the financial projections? So what is essential for you to learn at this? Remember that just in time at this time, and then go with that. So this plan will serve as the roadmap for your discussion and will help that expert evaluate the viability of your venture. And then again, with experts, when you're asking the questions, actually the types of questions you ask also it'll give them an indication of where you are in the process. So again, their advice would be more applicable if you do all of the above. And then, especially if you're paying for an advice, or you're maybe you're going to an investor and you're pitching, you got to practice how to deliver this pitch. You got to put this stuff. You got pen to paper. Put pen to paper and and be able to communicate. Practice and be able to pitch confidently and effectively, and capturing the essence of your venture in a memorable way. So convey your passion, your enthusiasm. Maybe tell a personal story why you're doing this, and have that. Tell a story about your business idea, because investors and advisors are more likely to support ventures that are driven by passionate and committed individuals who are honestly, genuinely, um, believe in the potential of those ideas. So those are some tips on what to do during a meeting. And again, some of it is, it's really hard for me to pinpoint, like, do exactly this. So think of these are general guidelines, and also you can take maybe specific instructions from them and then apply them to the next time you hire an advisor, or you seek the advice of someone maybe in your network. Good. So we prepared for the meeting, we conducted the meeting, we took copious notes. What do we do after the meeting? So you got to thank the advisor, you got to show your appreciation. This is an easy thing to do, yet it's a common pitfall for far too many people. many forget, or maybe they don't understand the etiquette of follow up. Uh, Someone who spent time with you, yes, it's important to send a thank you note, or maybe in depending on the case, sending a simple gift, or 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 just maybe mention them publicly on social media and thank them. It's important, help them show your appreciation, show your gratitude. And I mean, personally, I've lost count of how many people I have advised, and in most cases, in those were like free consultations, uh, where the person on the other end never bothered to send a quick follow-up note. I mean, as a matter of fact, there are a few people that I've gone out of my way to provide like very specific guidance. I went and researched their industry, looked around, and then came back with very specific guidance. And I would be more than happy to help them again if they maybe if they had more questions. But I don't know. They don't follow up. They don't send a thank you note. And it's not about me. I don't need the thank you note. I'm doing this because I like doing it. And if obviously if you're paying me and all that, yeah, that's a different engagement. But I'm talking about free advice here. When you go to people in your network, your friends and your friends, the friends of your friends, it's a disaster from a business perspective, let alone from maybe like an ethical or a politeness point of view, that you don't show your gratitude, your appreciation, and send a quick follow-up note. This is not the way to build up and build out your network and to grow, especially if you want to have your own business. And again, it's not about me. It's not about me getting a thank you email or a gift. And that's all behind us. It's really for your own sake. It's really that business culture that I don't want to see, the good business culture that I don't want to see erode. But I don't know. At times I feel like maybe we've lost some basic decorum. Anyhow, we're coming to the end of this episode. So if their advice, the advice of the advisor, of the coach, of the mentor, helps you in any way, and especially if it was really on point, and you were able to take it and make it actionable right away, I mean, you owe it to this person who helped you, whether you paid them or not. I think to let them know that their advice help you make progress and succeed. Trust me, they'll share that love, and they'll tell other people about you and your business, so you'll benefit from that as well. Question. Let's see, before we go on to the next section here and conclude, we have the 7 principles we want to share. Is a gift better than just a thank you? I mean, I'm not saying you go around sending gifts, that's not what I'm saying. But I remember, I'll give you a personal example. I mean, I don't know what's better, but I think a thank you note is a must. You gotta send a follow-up email. Follow up. If you don't follow up, I don't think you can even build a business. Like, business is about follow up in general. In marketing, you get a lead, you gotta follow up. In sales, you pitched, you presented, you sent the proposal, you gotta follow up. So this habit, building that muscle of follow up is important. So a thank you note, a thank you follow up email is important. A gift, I would say, for example, I'll give you an example. When we were doing accounting in house, big mistake. Have a video on that. Why it's actually a terrible mistake. And we were looking to outsource and have an accounting company do our accounting and our bookkeeping, and get a fractional CFO to help us at the time. I spoke with a couple of friends, and one of them, he was really helpful. He introduced me to 2 companies, and he gave me some guidance on what to look for. And actually, he introduced the whole idea of me as a business owner being able to outsource accounting so I can focus on building and growing the business. So once we worked, we interviewed those 2 companies, and we hired one. And a few months down the road, it was such a relief. That was probably one of the best decisions I've made in business, where I learned that I can outsource something from the back office, that then I can put my energy into meeting clients, into being out there pitching and growing the business. So and then I sent this gentleman a very nice gift. So, and then later, I took him to a nice lunch. I mean, that was just, and he was very appreciative. He said you don't have to do that, but he helped me significantly. He didn't charge me a penny for this. So that was my way of doing this. So I think be more on the generous side. I think it's just good thing in general. And again, if you're starting and money is tight, just something simple. It's the thought more, I think, more important than the value itself, or the value of the gift. All right. And then if you're gifting people in companies, there's some, depending if you're working with the government and big corporations, there are some guidelines around gifts, and I think they can't exceed $25. So be careful there. Check with your accountant, or your accountant. They'll give you some guidance. All right. The last part, we'll conclude by summarizing the seven startup affairs principles that we covered in this series about working with advisors, and what we like to call internally our black belt principles. So principle number one is only listen to those who have been to where you want to go. Principle number two, be persistent with senior people, or just in general. If you need something from someone, you got to be persistent. Principle number three, learn and do, then seek, then go and ask for help. Number four, prepare rigorously prior to meeting with an advisor. Number five, don't expect a detailed map. An advisor, he also will give you a general direction, point you in the right direction, but don't expect a specific map how to go from A to B. Now, if you're hiring a hands-on specialized paid consultant, they'll probably help you implement as well, but that would be the exception to that rule. Now, principle number six, at some point, who you talk to and what you end up adopting, it might not matter, as long as you're actually sticking to it and follow a process and you're following through. A person who jumps from one framework to another, from one advice to another, from one process to another, will rarely get too far. And then the seventh and last but not least principle is pay it forward by advising others the way others have advised you. So there you have it. Today we covered when to talk to advisors. In this series, like I said, we covered who advisors are, the stakes of not talking to advisors. We talked about where to find them, and then how to connect with them. So if you haven't watched this series, we have the links. We'll add the links in the description. I recommend you start from the beginning, but if you need help on maybe just connecting with advisors, then you can watch that specific episode. And if there's any way I can help, please, again, fill out the Ask Ferris form on our website, startupwithferris.com. Ferris spelled as Feras. And we offer every week a couple of free sessions, 30-minute sessions, where you ask me questions and I answer, and I can point you to the right resource if I don't have the answer. And this is 100% free, no strings attached, no gimmicks, no pitches, just me helping out. And also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel, and check out our daily advisor, our newsletter dedicated to founders and aspiring founders who want to build and grow 7- and 8-figure businesses. See you next time.